G'day and welcome to Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. As always, I really appreciate you joining me and contributing your energy to these stories. I am really interested to see where this one takes us today. What I've been noticing recently is just that real increase in energy and noticing that sort of like I'm experiencing sort of like a spinning sensation, as if the world really isn't stable at the moment. And then I look outside or sort of pay attention briefly to what's going off, and I realize that the experiences I have within is sort of like a acknowledgement of everything that's going off without, I guess. But one of the real joyous things I had this evening as I was watching the sunset was a bird sort of just coming and sitting on a tree just outside my lounge window and just having this most beautiful song sung to me, and really noticing sort of the interconnectedness of the world around me, and just really enjoying those moments where I'm taking that downtime and really hearing the birds around me and seeing them, and noticing sort of like the sunrises and the sunsets, and just feeling really a part of the world as a whole, but more on a local level, which it's just, it feels like a real privilege. I'm aware that we're coming into another full moon and having that full moon energy, and it feels like recently that sort of like everything's just ramping up completely, and it's almost like it's difficult to catch our breath and really find that space to integrate everything that's going off around us, and that can have a sensation of just feeling off balance quite a lot. So really personally trying to find that time and that space to really ground, feel more secure in the environment around myself, and that certainly helped by the bird song, and having that sense that for all that I live alone, that I'm not alone, that there's more than just us humans going through everything that we're going through, and we can find that support in the most unlikely places, I guess. And that bird really helped me see that this evening, that I just felt really honoured and privileged to have that song sung to me, and got closer and was just watching through the window, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So for me, it's really finding those moments in the middle of this chaos that are really blissful and centering and grounding, and feeling that connection beyond humanity, beyond being a human being, and really connecting, as I say, into the ground. And that's sort of helped by sort of noticing, as I say, the sunsets and the sunrises, and just being quite a lot more aware of my environment and feeling quite secure in that. And I do feel that sort of that is something that's very needed and necessary at the moment, taking those moments to breathe and feel connected and supported by something larger than ourselves. So on that note, I'm going to see which crystal and chakra would like to be heard today. So we've got citrine. So our solar plexus, so our power base, again, sort of really noticing where our energetic boundaries are, and really sensing and firming those up as we are bombarded more by different energies around us. It is really, in a way, pulling those back so that we have that sense of solidity, sense of self, knowing where we end and somewhere else begins, having our boundaries really firm. So as sort of the winds of change come in, we're not so rocked. We can actually feel safe and secure in our own environment, knowing that we are able to negotiate and navigate whatever's thrown at us. But the key in that is to really feel into ourselves and how rooted we are, how solid we are. And some of the energy around the solar is around worthiness, and really feeling that, knowing that we are worthy of change, of going forward, of time from the birds, time from animals, being supported from earth, and that it is really important that our energies are contributing to this, that what we've taken from and what we're creating in our sacral space as to what we'd like to manifest is we gain that power to manifest through our solar, and that's partly where we put it out. And really sort of feeling secure in that, knowing that we have got the strength to negotiate and navigate everything that's chucked at us. And even in those moments of dizziness or very much dizziness and spinning, that we can find our center, we can find our power base, our central base, to be able to choose what comes in and choose how we respond to it and move forward. So on that note, we will see what cards come through at the same time. That one popped out, so we'll use that one. Oh, okay, that one popped out. They're really, really wanting to be heard tonight by the feels of it. Well, those two anyway. Okay, I'm just going to take that one. And we'll see what we've got. So we've got the dog, the sun, and the polar bear. So the dog, so friendships and relationships, and as I've said in the past, the first one and the biggest one is actually having that friendship with ourselves and care and attention with ourselves. If we are unable to befriend ourselves fully, that will have an impact in our relationships externally. So really taking that time to really feel into ourselves and have kindness and understanding of all aspects of ourselves, so we can befriend even the darkest aspects, the masculine, the feminine, the shadow and the light, and really integrating on all levels, and really noticing the quality of the relationships we have externally as well. As I did with the bird earlier, it's that really felt a connection with that particular bird, and I do with a lot of the other birds that come into my garden, and I speak with them and have a level of communication. I befriend them, and I feel a friendship coming back, which I really love. But it's also befriending other aspects of the world as well, and just feeling that, as I say, interconnectedness, that we're not alone. Even in isolation, we are still part of something, and we make a difference, and we're a part of something to make a difference at the same time. But it's also friendships with other people, and how supported we actually are, even if there are times when we don't necessarily feel it. The ones that are friends don't have to be close, we don't have to see them all the time. We can actually tune into their energies and feel supported, even if there is a world away between individuals at the same time. Distance really doesn't matter. It is that sharing that energy and feeling nurtured and supported, and giving that back at the same time. And it's on all levels. So going into the sun. So I know I mentioned yesterday, I think it came through on the one that I put out, that I have noticed a real increase in the quality and brightness of the light in the world at the moment. And I noticed that even on the greyest of days, which is a lot of rain, there is a lot, for me it feels like there's a lot more lightness and brightness, and at times that can be overwhelming. And I guess there's almost like a fear of being burnt, that we may lose our eyesight, I guess. You're taught not to stare into the sun because you can burn your retinas and you can go blind. So it's being able to work out how to absorb this increase in frequency and this increase in light without damaging parts of ourselves, and allowing it to integrate through. Also using the remnants, but using this increase in light and vibrational energy to take in the dog and befriend those last aspects of ourselves that may have continued to be hidden in very dark places. And that for me also feeds into sort of the upcoming full moon as well, in that it has that potentiality of continuing to pull back the veils and uncover more about what's actually going off in this world. And there's a real darkness I feel in different areas of the world that we're living in at the moment that has remained hidden for a long time. A lot more and more people are becoming aware of the real darker nature of everything that's going off and the main narrative. So it's utilizing the sun and the full moon energy to really look at what lies underneath the current narrative, what is actually being hidden in plain sight more often than not. And I'm not suggesting we befriend it, but it's drawing on support from our friends, from Earth, from the birds, from all creatures that are living around us, and drawing on their strength, on their unconditional love, to help give us that extra strength to look underneath and know that we're not alone in what we're seeing, and that actually by enabling and allowing this higher frequency and brightness, that when these things do come to the surface, we don't get lost down a rabbit hole, that we're actually able to hold ourselves enough to be able to hold that energy for healing to occur. And the best healers that I know are ones that have travelled through their own dark spaces, their own trauma, and have come out the other end fully integrated magical beings. But those people who've been through dark places are more able to sit with those in dark places without having to put any pressure on them, but just holding a space for others to work through it. And I think that some of it was, I feel that a lot of people are going to be coming out of very dark places, quite lost, quite traumatized, quite hurt, quite stressed. And for me, what I hope I'm able to do is provide some space for people to be heard and not judged, so that they can express their own stories, to find their own healing, their own balm to come through it. And then the last card is Mama Bear, the polar bear. And I think for me, this polar bear card really fits with the solar plexus and the citrine, in really finding the core of our being, and as I say, our energetic boundaries, and really shoring those up, really finding out where we end and the rest of the world begins, and having that clear boundary, clear shielding, so that not that we're oblivious to what's going off, but we're not knocked off kilter, that when we're interacting with these different things that are coming to light, that we still have our sense of self, we still know who we are, and how connected we are to earth and source, and that we can actually utilize both those energies to actually shore up even further, so that we can actually be fully present and supportive for the world as a whole to move forward. If we are too busy, I don't know whether busy is the right word, but if we are caught up with trying to stay secure, and having our own feelings of unworthiness, etc., coming into that mix, we're not cleanly with somebody else, and we can actually be knocked off course by the different energies coming in. So this is, for me, this is a time very much about really taking that downtime, really nurturing ourselves and funding the energy and our energy center of our solar plexus, so that that is fully energized, and that we have that clarity and certainty of knowing where our boundaries are. But we notice when information comes in, or other people are stepping over those boundaries, and we are able to do something about that, that we're not flattened by it. We're not like Storm Bella and get hit by 100 miles an hour winds, but we actually have a buffer and a boundary to notice. I mean, we're going to notice those fast winds coming in, but we're not blown off course, we're not knocked over, but we have that solidity. And to get that solidity, it's very much about grounding into earth, really increasing our roots down into earth, and feeling very supported and nurtured by that. So yesterday's was around the root chakra. So really building on that and really firming that up. And then the other side of that is up into the crown and really taking on that source energy, realizing with absolutely everything we have free will, we have the choice. We can choose how any of this is impacting us. But to give us clean choice, to give us clear choice, we do need those boundaries. So it's really filling into our power center, knowing that we are powerful, we are able to negotiate no matter what's coming through, and that by actually recognizing where our edges are all the way around, we can see where we might need to do a bit more work so that we can just put that boundary and that shield up more effectively where we may be leaking energy still. Remembering to put those shields and those barriers up, those boundaries up as we go to sleep, and reconnecting with earth when we get up in the mornings, just being present, just paying attention. And that's back into befriending ourselves, using the sunlight, using the power of sunlight to really have that shine, really looking at all our edges, where we end, where the next bit begins. How does that merge? Are we leaking energy into other people, or are we actually co-creating that it is shared energy and not us just losing a load of energy? So really taking on that polar bear energy of really shielding and protecting ourselves, because it feels like it's going to continue ramping up. I don't know for how long, but I can just, sometimes it gives me a sickly feeling, and I wake up feeling very woozy and dizzy, so which dissipates and goes as soon as I ground and get my connection back into earth. So that's why I feel it's really important that we all do that. And I know that with how tired I am when I finish work, I don't always remember to put my shields up properly before I go to sleep. So it's a reminder for myself as well. It's just that remembering to make sure our shields are there before we go to sleep, and hopefully not feel quite so wobbled when we wake up. So I'm hoping that this is useful and is resonating for some of you out there. I'm going to see which sound comes through for our solar. Thank you very much for joining me again. With a bit of luck, I will be back on tomorrow. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Bye for now.